Hello everyone and welcome to my thoughts on the Russian Grand Prix. It was another day where Ferrari managed to go and shoot themselves in the foot with some bizarre team radio about drivers swapping positions, but ultimately in the end it was reliability that cost them the victory. Sebastian Vettel made a fantastic start to the race and jumped Hamilton immediately off the line. And then I found it quite strange when Leclerc just let him go down the inside into turn 2, but it quickly became clear that there was some kind of deal inside the team that meant Leclerc would get the position back later in the race. And then obviously we heard all the team radio and it became quite the mess. But the problem was, in the end for Ferrari, the Vettel was just the faster driver on the day. He pulled out a 4.2 second lead by lap 21 when Leclerc came into the pits, and then clearly Ferrari gave Leclerc the undercut so he could jump back in front of Vettel. You would have to guess the Ferrari were trying to give Leclerc a victory back after Singapore last week, but really they just made a complete mess of it. And you'd have to say as well that Binotto failed to demonstrate leadership on the pit wall as it got very messy, and understandably Vettel didn't want to give up the lead because, quite frankly, he was just the quicker driver of the two on the day. But there's now definitely a big intra-team tussle between Leclerc and Vettel. Leclerc's had a big edge in qualifying racing, but in the races Vettel has certainly been much closer and faster on occasions as well. So it's an interesting dynamic, and Binotto really has a job in his hands to keep that rivalry calm before it potentially boils over, like Alonso and Hamilton in 2007, for example. Most important thing, though, obviously for Ferrari is that they bring a good car out of the box in 2020 so they can challenge Mercedes for the title, and then they need to worry about the drivers, because if the drivers don't work together, it'll be another stroll in the park for Mercedes next year. Ultimately, it didn't matter in the end because Vettel broke down, which brought out this VSC, and that cost Leclerc the victory. But Ferrari have a lot to deal with, and this was a messy weekend for them in the end, in which they should have won the race and sealed another one too. Vettel's problem opened the door for Lewis Hamilton to make a free pit stop under the VSC, and it gifted him the lead. But at the end of the day, as always, Hamilton was there as Ferrari shot themselves in the foot and took full advantage of their problems to nab another victory in the 2019 season. It showed once again why Hamilton's one of the greats. Okay, he might have had a bit of luck, but he was keeping the Ferraris under pressure in the first stint and was over 10 seconds ahead of Bottas before Vettel hit trouble. Valtteri Bottas drove a solid race to finish second to claim another Mercedes 1-2 this year. He'll have been disappointed not to be closer to Hamilton at one of his favourite tracks and where he took his first victory over 2 years ago, but it was solid points for him in his battle for second in the championship with Leclerc and Verstappen, and he played the perfect team game for Mercedes by managing to hold off Leclerc. Behind the top two teams, Max Verstappen maximised his points haul as usual in 2019 with a 4th place finish and a great recovery drive from Alex Albon to go from the back of the field to finish in 5th with some very nice overtakes on Gasly in particular. A big shout out to McLaren as well. For the first time since 2014 they've scored more than 100 points in a season, and Carlos Sainz was the star again of the midfield as he finished a brilliant 6th. The Spaniard is really showing leadership qualities this year with the Woking team, and another very, very good drive to cement his 7th place in the Drivers' Championship. Once again, Sergio Perez delivered a strong performance on the Sunday and finished 7th. The Mexican is highly underrated as he continues to put in some really good performances across a number of races again in 2019. Kevin Magnussen had a very strong race and scored much needed points for Haas. He finished 8th on the road, but with a penalty he ended up in 9th. He wasn't happy about it, and neither was Team Bosch Steiner on the radio after the race. It was a much needed boost for the Haas team. Overall, I thought the race wasn't that great, and Sochi once again proved to be a very difficult track to overtake on. Vettel's DNF and the subsequent VSC ruined the strategy element of the race as well, as we never got to find out what would have happened between Hamilton and Leclerc. What did you think of the Ferrari team orders and the race overall? Let me know in the comments below. For now, goodbye.